Okay, testing. Okay, testing. That's fucking loud. Probably my audio more so. Alright. So, Atlanta. Can this go full screen, please? Cool. You mute the casters. Cool. Never replies to you on Discord? Wait, what did you send me this time? Did I not reply? Not this Vin. No, and my pot's boiling. Okay, this Vin. What? I did reply to you. What is this? I asked you if you're going to any Set 3 regionals. And the Diana, I did not have that much feedback that I could give you. Alright, be right back, one sec. Unless you're a different Vin. Alright, and Re-Resed is in here first, like usual. Nice. Alright. Ooh, call-in interview. I do want to see that.
Because you have been absolutely tearing it up here in this tournament. How do you feel right now locking in this top 8?
Honestly, it's incredible. This is going to be my second top 8 that I've had.
I don't think we had any
Vegas and now, and
Challenger and like Miel and Randy players matched against each other.
Honestly, it feels incredible.
It's not even just the passion
in
deck.
Sydney.
I mean, congratulations. You're obviously already the best of set, so you've got one trophy to put in the case now, but how badly do you want to win it all?
I would love it, honestly. Just having the ability to say that I'm the GOAT, unquestioned, unparalleled. I already believe I'm the best, but to be able to prove it to everybody, playing a deck that everybody wrote off would be amazing.
Well, you're one of my favorites to win it. I love Set the Boss myself, so
I
hope you bust some heads in top 8. And who, out of the other people that are already locked as well, who do you maybe want to avoid in the bracket?
At least until the finals, I'm in with my teammate Coco. So if we could get to be a finals of me versus him, then what better could we ask for, right? So that's what I'm hoping for. And outside of that, I'll take on whoever decides to play me.
Well, I wish you luck.
I mean, I underperformed at Sydney too, honestly.
So good luck in top
after
8.
The round 10, but we'll get to that. I wanna finish Atlanta first.
A top 8 contender, Coco, but actually your Swiss champ after the end of 2 rigorous days, 13 rounds. Coco, how does it feel not only making this top cut, but you're gonna be going first?
It feels great. Being on the play with Draven, it can't feel any better, to be honest. That's where I want to be at, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So now in that same mindset, you are not going to be the only Draven in top cuts. So my question is, are you really aiming for that best of, or are you just like, it doesn't matter how many Dravens are on the way, I'm just aiming for that top prize?
I am looking for first place. And with first place comes the best of as well. So we're looking for a win-win, baby. That's all the way. That's what I'm looking for.
So
an extra one.
Afraid because,
I don't think you can edit
either
the Riot account or the UVS account's name.
Draven was one of the most played legends. It made top cuts, and then boom, all of them.
I guess I didn't really check though.
Do you think that's going to happen today? Obviously, you're going to root for yourself, but if you're the only one out, you'll auto lock in that best of in the top 4 situation and not have to worry about it.
That's true, but then again, the best of doesn't matter to me. Literally, first place is what I'm aiming for.
Hard main, under the radar, but has potential.
Luck. Obviously, I want you to give you some time, get into the space, but congratulations. I'm joined here with your top 8 contender, Irelia
That's a good
player,
question.
Harukaze. First
what are your goals?
How do you feel?
Honestly, it's surreal. I really didn't expect myself to get this far. I've been training a lot, and it's been something that I've been like really proud about trying to grind. I'm very competitive in nature, and then knowing that this is something like, you know, so far up, and then getting it, I was like blown away.
Well, also congratulations. You're the only Irelia in top cuts for such a high represented deck, which means you're already going home with a trophy, the best of.
Honestly, I was so nervous. I didn't expect myself to actually get it because I actually played against a mirror, and this was determining the best of, and I'm so happy. This is incredible.
Well, okay, so obviously locking in a little bit. You've got a little bit of time to rest before we get into top cuts.
Potential
but is
best
there a
of?
matchup that
Okay,
you're
well then I can't say
particularly
any.
trying to avoid?
You could go for, like,
far,
Ezreal. I don't know how much
Draven,
that
it's
counts
always
as
been
under the
most
radar.
stressful.
Victor
Unfortunately, I don't have
is
to
not
worry about
bad.
Mirror, 'cause that's what's
Ornn.
difficult, but Draven has been one of the most stressful. I've played, I think, like 5 or 6 Dravens, and I've won most of them, but
Top
definitely
64
something I still want to avoid.
Affluence. Hey,
Well,
congrats
it's
to you
good to know
too.
already on your journey. You are getting comfortable in that.
Not
Draven
really under the
matchup.
radar?
Don't have to worry
Okay,
about the mirror,
that's
like
fair.
you said. But congratulations once
Let's see.
again. But
I mean,
if you have
Pyke.
any shout-outs, you said you worked really hard to get here. I mean, so how about it?
Yeah, shout out to all my friends back in Connecticut. So we got Craig, really big tester.
Runes and Rift tournaments? Yeah,
And
unfortunately,
glad that you
busy.
finally get to represent Kai'Sa
got
in a
Mr.
top
Frosty.
8 scenario in a regional qualifier since Spirit Forge. How does it feel?
It doesn't seem real even after you say it, and it's apparently locked. Genuinely, I was concerned about making day 2, let alone making it this far.
Ezreal versus
so-
Diana?
It's awesome, incredible.
I don't know.
It really is
What the
incredible,
hell is
and you're
this?
incredible for doing such an incredible performance. 'Cause I think you're like 2nd seed across going into top 8.
Pillar of
so my
Archive is giving me
question
a
to you is,
404.
you're probably obviously you're easily going to go first
Alright,
in this
that's
first little
fine.
matchup, and
That's
even
what the
your
turn 'em
second one.
sideways is
But
for.
what are you trying to avoid, even if going first?
Under
is going
the
to be an
radar.
advantage?
The problem is Aurora just blows a lot of decks out. Like, I think Ornn, Rengar, even Victor, probably the strongest decks that aren't,
To you, what kind of
very
decks do you
popular.
not want to run in, or maybe even players?
but you're gonna get destroyed by Aurora
To a
if
degree,
it's
I
not
think I have
Victor
some
if you pick
level
the
of
other two.
disadvantage against a lot
Ezreal,
of the
Diana
top
difficulty.
8 opponents.
Ezreal's probably more difficult.
Draven, I've had success today.
Diana, you get to just
but
Stellacorn
it's-
her to
I don't
people
think
in a
it's
lot of games.
necessarily a favored matchup for me. Irelia is a very difficult matchup for my deck. I think my variant has a better matchup into Irelia than a lot of other decks. Alan's EQ specifically, if I'm 2nd and he slots into 7th, being the win and in, I've played Alan 5 games, I've won 1 of them. And it was this matchup with slightly different lists, but I've known
Best of
Alan
Ezreal
for
in Sydney.
just a month and a
I
half
did not.
or so, and he's definitely an opponent
Ornn
I don't
better
wanna
than
sit across
Lilia?
from in the first round.
couldn't
I
imagine
like
sitting
Ornn better,
across from
honestly.
him, having seen him not only win a regional qualifier, but he's just
I think
such
Ornn
a
gets to do
good,
the Sprite game
cool,
plan
and
while also
calculated
having real
player.
units.
So I also hope you don't go against him, 'cause
And
I
not
would
being
like to see
completely
Kai'Sa
dead to
have a
purple
little
Vex.
bit more win. But speaking of, you've already locked in the best of
Yeah,
Kai'Sa,
and you can't
so no
run
matter what,
Orange
you're going to go
Legends
home
'cause you'll
with a
just lose
trophy,
best of.
so that must
Yeah.
feel great as well.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah,
I'm
Diana
playing
game plan's really
with
easy.
a signed one, and it's an incredible upgrade. So it's hard to like that
Alright,
isn't
let's
real to
take
my
a
brain
look.
yet.
Refresh myself
Um,
on his deck list and everything. So he had... he's on the arena bar with yellow set Chosen Champion version, which is basically his version. Then he goes for Grove when he goes first. 2 challenges only. 2 challenge, 2 hidden blade. 7 2-drops in total. And then other buff sources other than arena bar. He has the 1 Kinku Monk and 2 Fairy Dragons. And then Showstoppers, of course. And then anything else weird going on, he's got the 3 Lucians, which is unusual. Didn't like it. I forget which one, because I also looked at some of the China regional top 8 lists, but they had similar issues. I forget what the specific reason was. And then, yeah, 3 Call to Glory, 3 Punch first. Nice thing, it's set 2, so there's no repulse. So Rebuke just hard counters the entire deck. Well, almost. If he has a Hidden Blade hidden with a unit and I try to Rebuke it, then he can flip it, kill it, save it. But that's it. Reviewing set 2 games? Yeah, I never reviewed these. So I've got time today, so we're going to review these and try to get through the backlog. Which I also need to check my schedule. Yeah, I only have a couple hours. Well, I've got a couple hours, then I got to do something, then I might come back to stream a bit more. But we'll at least try to get through some stuff. What do I have in hand here? I see 2 Ferris Forerunners, I think a Rengar, and what looks like a Noxus Hopeful. So I have to hard mulligan for a 2-drop. Hey, Yuki. So I think I remember this game was the game where he went first mate into arena bar into set, and I just couldn't push it. Opinion on Pyke? It could be. I'm not sure. I haven't done enough testing. I'm already touching my hair. That's crazy. So what's in his hand? He's got Fiora. Okay, yeah. Yeah, with the punch first and Call to Glory. I've got Flash, a Forerunner. Yeah, I will do an anti-guide. LS was losing his minds over my games. I didn't win the event, I got best of. And the round 13 I got paired against Alan and I had best of, and he had to, there was another Diana in top cut. So he had to take the win. Which, even then, I don't think I would have beaten those Aurora draws either in the top 8, so it's pretty whatever. But, you know, at least my matchup against him, he was teched for other matchups, so I did, like, we played a one game to warm him up, and I did beat him in that game. And I think then I would have been favored in that match, but whatever. It's whatever. It's a joint top 8. If I played better, if I didn't lose to Vex round 11, then I would have made top 8 easily. Keep going on Annie? Yeah. I'm going to go for every Annie best of. Okay, so I just have some trash units. Annie guide before Vancouver? No, unfortunately I filled my schedule already. Could I not in Vancouver? No. No. No, I don't think so. Trying to beat Alan's 3 for 4 on Ezreal that he got in set 2. Hope they don't hit me with... No, I mean, there's no way they hit Annie with bans. That'd be insane. So yeah, the first thing that was a bit weird here that I did was on this turn coming up. I think I should have pulled all of my units out. I mean, maybe I had an issue where he'd, like... So he buffs this, he'd pull back first, second, first mate, go across, drop set, and buff, and that was annoying. I lose the point lead. So I needed to leave some units behind. Diana's a bad matchup? No. It's not. Bans before Vancouver? No. I actually... Yeah, this isn't anything too crazy to say. I talked to Dave a little bit at the airport, and one thing he said to me was they didn't leave themselves any time to ban things with more than 2 weeks before the next event. But if they have to ban something, it will be basically the Monday after an event. So then there's at least, like, as close as possible to 2 weeks before the next event. That's all that I'll say. So Vancouver, there will not be bans. I can guarantee that. Okay, I'm back. Had to get food. Ban one of the Blanc decks with Azir. Yeah, that was a rules clarification. Those are different. Kill... I don't think Azir in LeBlanc was an entire deck. They did make the card useless in LeBlanc, but it's not like that was an entire archetype of LeBlanc. Monday after is pretty crazy. I'll say they're removing that rule next set. The Azir rule, yeah, they're... Basically, they already told China that Azir doesn't work with LeBlanc tokens. And... therefore, they couldn't rule things differently in the West, and are locked to it for the set. I don't know. I don't understand that part, but that seems to be the main reason behind it. Alright, so this turn I have the Forerunner. I thought I had a Noxus Hopeful this turn. I was thinking I should just pull everything out and drop the Forerunner in base, but then it is really annoying if he has the second first mate. Thoughts on Leona set 3? She's a lot better than previous sets. I still don't think she's very good. But, I mean, she's not Guaranteer anymore. So, there's that. Tap 6 runes, think. I mean, we both know if Forerunner's coming out, but it's just where. How do you know when a list is RQ ready? You don't really. I mean, you can test against every matchup, and then be prepared for every matchup. Yeah, so I was worried about second first mate. And the question is, even if I had all my units back in base and he made the same play, would I have swung into it? This set would be an 8-mite unit. So it's basically pointless still to swing into it. I mean, this is a game where if I had Rebuke at any point, he just loses instantly. But whole deck Chinese, yes. Judge calls about the cards, no. Or rarely. Most people at least seem to know what most of the cards in the game do. And the few they don't, they ask about, and I tell them. And then everything's fine. Splitting with Alan, yeah. Yeah. Hey, thanks. Yeah, the team kill sucks. But you know what? I'm happy that I wasn't the one that had to faceplant into Aurora. Because that looked very obnoxious to watch. Though we will VOD review it, there were a couple of small things that Alan could have done differently. Probably would not have changed the result. Yeah. It is annoying. Anyone that's going to say, like, China greater than the rest of the world, when got the door left open, the Aurora door slammed on, like, players like Alan, and then just gets left wide open in the finals. But yeah, like this turn, if I have Rebuke, I Rebuke the set. I can walk in, this is a 4, even with double Call to Glory. I mean, if he pre-Call to Glories, then I've got to think, because he probably has a second one when he does that. That goes up to 7, then can go up to 10. If he doesn't preemptively Call to Glory, he has 4. He can go +5 up to 9, which means I am a little bit off still. But But even then, I'm trading double Call to Glory, all of his buffs, in exchange for a Forerunner, front half of a Forerunner and a Tide Turner, so that's still fine. If he doesn't have a double Call to Glory, let's say it's just one Call to Glory, I rebuke this. He plays one Call to Glory. He might not even bother. I conquer, I go to 4, I take Seed of Power, draw, the game's over instantly. Has my list been posted? Yeah, I posted on Twitter. Competition earnings ballpark. So just for me personally, 4 best ofs, so that can be valued at 15k each, so 60. I think in terms of flat cash, probably around 10,000 ish. The top 8 prize cards are not worth very much, but that could be worth maybe another 3 to 5,000. And then the first place is another 40-ish. Something like that. So, definitely 6 figures. Am I selling them? I'm going to hold on to them for now. Doesn't seem like there are any buyers that are interested. And if I can get a monopoly on them, they will be worth more in the future. How much time per day? All of it. Not quite. But yeah, 8 to 10 hours. Something like that. So unfortunately, I get stuck in this development trade situation, which favors him a lot because he gets to stack all of his arena bar value. And I never get Seed of Power value, I can't get my Kaisa Conquer value. My hand just fizzles out, basically. And I don't think I even draw a spell for any. So far, there haven't really been any decisions to make, though. So he picks off the fan. Oh, what is this? What does he challenge? Challenges off my Forerunner. Oh, does he burn a lot to swing point tempo here? Oh yeah, he does. So this gives me flash value. Unfortunately, again, another thing here, if I had Longsword, I Longsword on this challenge and he gets blown out. But yeah, it's interesting he decided to rip the push right now, when he could have kept developing. He had the Fiora that he could put buff on, and then get her set up with ganking. Because my board was not in a great spot to push with. I mean, I'm probably just in a spot where next turn I'd flash the Forerunner, send it. Just send everything. And that's like 10, 18 total. And he'd have this as a 9, 15. He has 19 already. He just beats it face up. I think he could have played more patiently. Because I'm running out of resources, and he still has strong development that he can make. Like, he could have done, like, Monkey trade for Fan and set up for a later turn, too. There were options. Because I think this gives me more of what I want for the game. Especially with this Kaisa Conquer. Alright, what do I draw? Because he also taps out, so he's off punch first, so that makes everything way easier for me. Used 2 Call to Glory, just 1. Just 1 Call to Glory. And because he used it so aggressively, that does make me think he has another one. This attack does show him I don't have a cleave or a longsword in my hand to beat a Call to Glory. So I do give away hand information, but I don't have it, and I do lose the game if I faceplant into those. And I still had enough left over here. I think I was doing the math. So this is 8, 9, 10, 13, and this is 10. So this is a safe attack into Call to Glory. So that was the math that I was doing, is if I could afford to do this, get the Kaisa card, and put an additional 3-met unit and still have enough left over to push with. No, yeah, that was definitely a premature push from him, actually. I was completely bricked if he didn't make that play. There's no way that that was a correct play. He could have just developed Fiora and waited a turn. And then everything would have been way cleaner. He would have been able to either send the Fiora across, tax me on deflect if I try to push it, or send the Sea Monkey trade off the Fan and then still do the challenge plus Fiora crossplay. So I just did not have a hand that could push the Seat of Power. I mean, maybe he's pressured, like if Rebuke shows up right then, but I clearly just have not had Rebuke the entire time. It does reverse point tempo when he wants it to, where he gets the 4 and then can get to 6 on next turn. Which is pretty valuable, but I think it cost him too many resources. And gave me too many resources with this Kaisa. Like, if I didn't have Kaisa in base, this play is a lot better. But because I had Kaisa in base, and that just gives me a card draw, and gives me Seat of Power card draw as well as the follow-up, that's a huge difference. Wish I could see my hand. God, I'm playing so patiently here, though. No, hold on. Oh yeah, there's a Ride the Wind. When's the guide coming out? Probably after Vancouver. What's going through my brain here? I'm thinking about, I think this is the Ride the Wind is my only trick. So I'm thinking about sending an attack. That will... Oh yeah, I think I'm doing math, so if he Call to Glories, I send 11. If he Call to Glories his set, it only goes up to 11, so I can still trade with it, and then I can Ride the Wind Kaisa across, I think is my plan here. Is what I'm calculating. And then I'm also thinking about my follow-up. Oh wait, no, I'm not even pushing this turn. Oh yeah, this is what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about if I make this push. Right, no, of course, I forgot. I do want to see my hand, though. I got higher quality on this video. Doesn't look like it. Alright, I gotta do frame-by-frame analysis or something. I can't even tell what these cards are. Okay, Merchant, Ride the Wind. Last card kind of looks like a Kaisa. No. Card advantage... Like, the card draw is too cheap to really matter. It can become... I mean, you don't even... You just think about maximizing each card's value. And card advantage naturally flows from that. The board states also get too complicated to be able to say, okay, this is a 2-for-1. Because there's way more going on than that. But yeah, I was thinking about if I send in this, and he just passes, saves his set. I lose everything but a Tide Turner. I'll draw 1 card, and then I have this Merchant and Ride the Wind in hand. I would have to play Annie, pick up Flash. And then, so I'd have 2 on this battlefield, 7 on this battlefield. I'd have a Fan left over. He'd have 3 units in base. Biggest gap. Probably planning ahead. I'd play Annie somewhere. Pick up Flash. I'd play Merchant. And then he'd be able to... I guess 7 would be a problem. Maybe I should have taken this push. Maybe I fuck up immediately by not pushing this. Like, I think the card I'm thinking about is Showstopper as the likely card that he still has left over. But it's hard for him to use it. I'll get to see what the third card is. Because it is too early for me to push. Okay, it looks like it's a Rek'Sai. So I could have pushed in. Like, the big issue with this push, so this push does give me a draw of Seed of Power and gives me a point. The big issue is I'm trading 9 Might of units for a buff on Set and the Cythria and 1 of his runes. So then if I can't hold on the follow-up, which he'd have, like, Set plus the Fiora together would be 11. So I'd need to hold 13 here. And then, like, Punch First. Yeah, I think I was oh yeah, Punch First was the other card. Like, Punch First and Showstopper are the 2 tricks that he hasn't shown yet. CCS predictions on the meta. A lot more Aurora when best ofs aren't involved. And I mean, a lot more of the top tier decks. So, more LeBlanc, more Vex, more Aurelia, more Yi, more Diana. Yeah, so the issue is if he has Punch First, when I make that play, he can do something like trade off some of the resources, maybe with the Fiora with buff. Depends on breakpoints, and then like walk in Punch First. Or Showstopper in Punch First. Clear me, clear other side, go up to 6. And it's just a losing play. So I decide that that's not possible to play for. And then, yeah, the Fan has to go forward. And I think the other thing I'm calculating here is how much I need in base versus on the battlefield. Because he's going to go forward with Fiora and probably hold with her as well. So I need enough to push to 6 because he reversed point and tempo on me. And of course I do have the Flash plus Ride the Wind to get more units across. I don't remember any of the specifics of the math that I did. And good luck with figuring out what the correct... I mean, there probably is no correct layout. It depends on what you want to play around from his hand. He did blow the Call to Glory pretty early on, so he could either easily have another one of those. He could have Punch First. He tapped out, which maybe he doesn't have Punch First, but he's also getting low on cards, so he had to develop, obviously. It's impossible to read. And of course, these Fioras are really annoying.
Unless you get a rebuke for that Kingpin, it is rude.
Update the Twitch bio. What does the Twitch bio even say? Oh, that's all that it says? Yeah, I should update that. Let's do that right now. Yeah, Irelia is a lot worse, is not nearly as teched for you in general. Alright, fixed. Player matters infinitely more. Infinitely more. I could easily be like 90-10. Oh, wait, what did I just do? Did I write Bologna twice? Or Lille twice? Oh, yeah, I wrote Lille twice. Fixed. But no, yeah, you could... Like, if you put Alan on Draven, or me... Or not on Draven. If you put Alan or me on Garen, and you put... like, a random, like, Nexus Knight or Skirmish player on a top-tier deck, they'll still lose. Maybe not with Garen. Like, sure, maybe it's a bit less than 90-10. Like, give me something playable, but... It's close. It's very believable that still just win. So that's 10, 24 total. And I have 14. I can flash another 6 up to 20, and 4 with the Ride the Wind. And there's the Rebuke right on time after I play my Annie. If I had Rebuke, Annie, Rebuke, no, it would be way too expensive anyway. Well, it would be Rebuke, Annie, pick up the Rebuke, don't play it yet, save it for the set for the second time. That would be what would happen. I think here I'm calculating if I want to Rebuke the set first, or if I want to wait for a potential Punch First to come out. But the Punch First is going to go on Cythria, so it's never worth it. I can never really get him to commit. And then I send, so this is 14. I'm sending 18. And then I don't send the merchant because I can ride the wind. So I'm trying to get him to commit punch first here, in exchange for the ride the wind, and then I get to hand dump potentially, and then get the merchant move after. Oh, I think I even ride the wind the merchant in, because that's the extra point that I need. This is 19. I got 21. Okay, yeah, so oh no, I had to ride the wind Annie, because that left me safe against Call of Glory, because his only buffed units were on the battlefield. How bright are the lights? In this case, they were not as bright, because I specifically asked them to dim them. Because it was bothering me, because at Lille, that was part of the problem, was being sick at the same time as having the really bright lights on me. But here, when I got to top 8, might have even been before then, when I played on stream, I asked if the lights could be turned down, and they turned them down. So this merchant probably has to move up to Seat of Power. Or has to move to one battlefield. And then these fans are definitely staying on battlefields to kick out his units. Yeah, so shout out to production. They also brought on noise-canceling headsets. I really don't want to let him get to 7 here, because then he can set up another hold. So I want to make it as difficult as possible. So I think I did hear something about back-to-back top decks that came in, because I think his last cards are Showstopper set, and then he has to top deck something here. Update yellow text. I'm not going to call any of my own plays good. So he gets in with Fiora. Drops set. Drops Akshan. And I think his last card is Showstopper. So if I kept Kaisa on this battlefield, he would have Showstoppered over her. Which then cost me an entire 4 might. In exchange for the Showstopper, which is worth a decent amount already. And then I just can't push this, so I have to stack and hold. I mean, I guess we could see, like, how much does the Showstopper end up being worth? Quite a lot, because it's on this yellow set. Started with deck building. You could just not start with deck building and net deck. That's probably the easiest starting point. Because it's definitely, especially when you show up several sets in. And the card pool is still not that big in Riftbound compared to other games, other TCGs. But you do show up, you aren't familiar with any of the cards, and then you just look at all of them, and it's overwhelming. Probably just start with net decking, honestly. Don't even start with deck building when you're a new player. And then, so I had to do that flash on the merchant to maximize draws. If I didn't find anything off that stack deck, then the merchant would have just moved in and tried to find me something again. But I found Rebuke, which means the merchant can't move. And then he knows basically the only card I could have found is Rebuke. The only other thing it could be is like a longsword in my deck list. And if it was a longsword, I might as well move the merchant up because that's 2 might versus 2 might. The longsword on Fan would maybe make a difference, so it could be longsword as well. So the question is, how much does a Showstopper end up being worth? I guess Showstopper would have drawn him a card, though, because he would have Showstoppered in, gotten a buff, and then been able to spend it with the Monastery, which is very big. Why Merchant base? Because Rebuke is the last card in my hand. So I can't move the Merchant. But yeah, he actually top-decked Exact. I think it's not even Showstopper. He didn't even have Showstopper. It was Challenged, is what he has. I don't remember, though. Yeah, he does the math. So he challenges to trade off the Forerunner. So if Kai'Sa was here, if Kai'Sa stayed on the battlefield, would I have won this game? Is that a misplay? I mean, should I have known that I was going to get to hold one of the battlefields? I would have left 4 on each. Cleave is a better draw if I keep Kai'Sa alive. It says it is 2 units in base. I have 4 on each battlefield after he clears out the fan. 1 sec. BRB. Maybe I did misplay, actually. Oh, no, I think it was Pit Rookie that I was thinking about, but there's no way... Is there any way he's a Pit Rookie in hand? No, so it'd be a top deck Pit Rookie. So I was thinking Showstopper is the one card that could be in his hand still. And otherwise, it'd be top deck Pit Rookie. Or top deck... top deck Pit Rookie. The one of Monk and the 2 Fairy Dragons that he has. And if any of those show up, I basically lose instantly, because he gets to kill my Kai'Sa 5-4. And conquer the Monastery and draw. Okay, I'm not sure. At least with what his hand was. Oh man, it's even worse than that, actually, because he'd be able to Showstopper in and then gank across with the Fiora while she's ready. Though he'd be spending the buff, probably. So yeah, he has this. Again, if I have Longsword, he does just lose instantly. Just on the challenge by itself. Or on the fan here. But unfortunately, he has it. And then he sends in both. So this is 9 to 6. I can rebuke 1, and then he has exactly enough for a first mate plus the 4-drop, and exactly enough runes. So this is when I get a bit frustrated, because my rebuke showed up too late. And I go and he top decked me. So I go and do some push-ups. Wait, how'd they do that? They just cut forward? Hey, Spicy. What is this middle card? Some kind of unit. Oh, it's Illusion. That's what it is. So he's thinking about keeping this Cythria. That seems weird if he keeps Cythria. I guess she works with Set really well. That is a 3-might unit. Or 2. Okay, and this is the game where I make a mistake. So here on turn 2, I have a choice of what battlefield to go to. Because I believe my turn is 2-drop plus Hopeful. And then I have a choice of what battlefield I'm going to go to. And what's going to happen, whichever battlefield I go to, I'm going to hold. He's not going to be able to push. He's going to send Lucian to the other one, conquer, pull back out, and probably play Set in his base, or put something in his base. And then I'm going to hold one battlefield. I believe I also have a Ferris Forerunner in hand, so I know I'm going to pull back. And then go to the other battlefield and drop Forerunner there. So the question is, where do I want to end up holding 2 turns from now? And then whichever battlefield I'm on that 2 turns from then, is the battlefield I'm going to be stuck on. And I make the wrong decision of holding on Sunken Temple, which I believe gives him multiple conquers of it. Or do I end up getting stuck just having to hold the Sunken Temple? Something I don't expect to happen here? Oh wait, oh no, I don't have 2-drop Hopeful. Right, I don't have 2-drop Hopeful, so I don't get to develop in base, so I don't get to move across. That's the issue. So whichever battlefield I go to here is the one I'm stuck on. Because I'm going to dig through so many cards that I should be able to find a Forerunner. Yeah, so that's the issue. And the end result of that is I should hold on the Arena's Greatest. I was thinking maybe he can't do any Lucian in and out stuff. So he does get the Sunken Temple draw a bit earlier, because he'll get to conquer it at some point with some 5-might unit. But then that's the only draw he gets, because then he'll have to hold it for the rest of the game, because I'm ahead on point tempo. Good place for net decks. That's the problem. There isn't really. You can look up decks, even like decks that top 8 at events, and they could be complete garbage. But they're probably better than any other deck you're going to find. So his turn, He can get the Arena Bar set up and also get Cythria set up. That doesn't burn any runes, because he doesn't need set in play yet. And then if he gets Cythria set up, he can threaten to conquer both battlefields. Goes for Pit Rookie. Instead. And then I think this is where I find Forerunner. Oh no, I Tide Turner. Discard Fan. I don't find Forerunner. What am I looking for? Like misplays. But with these games, it's really hard. I mean, set is just really strange. When I tried to review Colin's set game from earlier in this event, it was also difficult. Need a lot of practice to understand how set board states play out. Probably don't play Wuju Master. Yeah, Sydney was really nice. Ferris and Starcrossed meta, it's completely fine. Go ahead and play your Starcrossed. It costs them as much as it does for my Ferris Forerunner, because they have to bounce at least a 2-drop. Don't remember what's in my hand here. So I could have held both battlefields here for 6 each. He would have sent 7 to 1, and then I'd have to flash. But then I save the Merchant, that's kind of pointless. I could have Tide Turnered the Hopeful instead, and that would have put 4 down. Why didn't I do that, actually? Hold on. Why didn't I play Tide Turner on the Noxus Hopeful? And that would block his Lucian. Because it's not only that, but I'm Tide Turnering the Merchant, when I could move the Merchant back and potentially draw into a Forerunner, which would be infinitely better. It should probably be Merchant moves back, triggers. Not sure what I discard, but not the Tide Turner. I guess my hand is like... What is my hand? I have 5 cards in hand. So there's Flash, there's Rebuke, there's Stack Deck, there's Tide Turner, and there's one other card, which is the Noxus Hopeful, I think. Interesting. But I could move the Merchant back first, chuck the Stack Deck, leave myself open for a Forerunner draw. Then, if that doesn't show up, I Tide Turner with the Hopeful. Hopeful to Arena. Stack second Hopeful with the Tide Turner. And then I go to 4. He's at 2. He can't easily push over me. And my Merchant stays alive, which is worth a lot. What was my first discard? It was a Fan. Okay, so it was discard Fan, which draws into Hopeful. And then I discard the Stack Deck. Okay, what's that last card in there? That's a Rek'Sai. Interesting. Because, yeah, I let him get too much easy board development here. If the Hopeful was holding, I guess he still has, he just trades the Lucian, but with buff in, and then Pit Rookie conquers. Be right back 1 sec. Narrow down cards to cut. I mean, there's a lot that goes into that. Like, you have to know what your deck's game plan is, what effects you need, or like holes you need to cover, and what cards are actually good. Yeah, so here... So let's say I'd made that Merchant play where Merchant moves back, discards the fan, I believe draws the Noxus Hopeful. Then I'd Tide Turner Noxus Hopeful in, stack second Noxus Hopeful here. Still go to 5, I'd keep Merchant in base, and now when I get to this turn, I would have been able to play stack deck. Potentially not even take this second Rebuke, take something else. He'd go Lucian trade, so I'd be down a Noxus Hopeful instead and have Merchant in base instead. And then walk one of his 2-drops in and stack the Fiora there. So that'd still be unpushable. But then I'd get to this turn, and I'd be stack deck a little bit deeper, potentially to a Ferris Forerunner. Yeah, so I think that was definitely a misplay. And it would cost him a rune, it would cost him a buff. It would force another one of his units to be forward on the other battlefield. And again, this is where actually it would have mattered. So let's say I was stacked over here the entire time. His Lucian would have been going in and out here. And then on this turn, when he went over my Merchant, or if I had a Hopeful here, he'd have to conquer with some other unit. And then he'd stack his Fiora there. So he would lose out on the Sunken Temple completely. So yeah, it is 2 misplays this game. And now I don't have the Merchant to filter. I could have seen 2 cards deeper, or 3 cards deeper with stack deck at this point. And now the spot is really difficult because I don't have much to do with all these rebukes. So I think I just end up having to hold with everything to get to 6 points. Okay, so we do Annie stack deck. So this stack deck is what I would have seen. Got Flash. Can it pause? Oh my god. My spacebar doesn't work. What else is here? Is that a Forerunner there? No, that's 3rd Rebuke. Is that last card a Forerunner? I can't tell. Let's zoom and enhance. Surely these 10 pixels will tell us something. Good. Kind of looks like a Forerunner. Yeah, that does look like a Forerunner. So yeah, if I made that different play, didn't discard this stack deck, I would just have a stack deck. When he went in here for this combat, I would have played stack deck, found a Forerunner, and just slammed it on this battlefield. And it would have been really easy. And instead I get stuck in this awkward spot. And now he gets this Sunken Temple Conquer, which he wouldn't have gotten if I held the other battlefield. Yeah, so imagine if I just didn't have to play Annie this turn, drop the Forerunner instead. Held with like 14 might. Or just held with everything, who knows. He would have had, so this is 5, 9, 15. So yeah, I would have held with everything, because that would have been 16. And then he'd have to trade a ton of resources into me. I'd get the Ferris tokens, he wouldn't get Sunken Temple. He'd get to 5 points. And then I would just have... He would clear me, but I would also clear everything but this Pit Rookie. Or if he uses Punch first, he'd get to keep 1 more unit. And then he'd set up holds on each battlefield, so we'd have set with a buff. And he'd have 1 unit left over here, and he would save Fiora, so Fiora would be in base. And let's say he saves the Punch first. And then I'd have 2 mech tokens in base. So if he can't use the Punch first. I wouldn't use Rebuke on the Fiora, so we would both let things happen. And the end result, like maybe he would use the Showstopper on set, leave the Forerunner alive, trade off 8. So like Fiora plus a 3 into the 2 Hopefuls. But if I leave the Tide Turner there, he needs to kill off 10, which would be Lucian plus 2 3s, and then set Showstopper in, but then he's vulnerable to Rebuke. So let's say he just does the attack, that's the simplest thing. So he's Fiora on base, 2 of these die, the Pit Rookie lives and conquers. He goes to 5, set goes here with a buff from the Arena Bar. So he has Pit Rookie, set with buff, Fiora in base, punch first mana up. Burns 1 more rune. He's at 5, I'm at 5, I've got 2 mechs in base. And then I would be able to probably Rebuke his set. So I'd go up to 9 runes, I'd Rebuke his set, go down to 7. Walk in with 2 mechs, go to 6. This stack deck here, or like then I would still Annie stack deck for something. Yeah, I'd be able to play Annie. It still ends up weird. Why do I take this attack? It's because I don't want to burn the Rebuke. So let's say I Rebuke here and just go in with 2 4s. He could save Cythria. I'd go to 6. I'd drop Forerunner. He'd redevelop, hold the 6. He knows I have Flash, though, so he has to leave some amount of defense back here. I'm just trolling out of my mind in this game. What the hell is this? This is terrible. Why don't I Rebuke set? He'd have to put set down here in order to be able to hold. So I'm threatening 9, 19, plus I can accelerate the mech tokens out. What the hell am I doing in this game? How many cards does he have in hand? 3? I guess no matter what, he'd set up the Fiora here. On Sunken Temple, but yeah, he would be down a draw. So the Sunken Temple misplay, he has an extra card in hand. Then my Ferris Forerunner comes down later, though maybe pulling back was still a correct play. And then here, I think I should Rebuke the set. Rebuke set. Push in. Like, especially if he has only 2 cards in hand, pushing in for 8 is completely fine. With this 3 cards in hand, maybe I'm scared of stuff. Like, if I Rebuke and push in for 12, then I'm completely safe. I guess I could do that. Rebuke, push in for 12, drop the Forerunner stack. I'm at 6. He holds the 6. And then I'm threatening 5, 15, 21. He has 9 here. He has to drop set and buff him. 6. That's 18. And then he holds a pump up. So that would be Death Grip wouldn't be an issue. It's open decklist. He doesn't have Death Grip. So then he'd have to hold here with the set. He'd keep Cythria in base, so we'd have Cythria, Lucian, plus Fiora. And I'd end up holding for 10, 17, 22 total. Which is still pushable, I guess. I do this instead. This is another misplay that I made, actually. We'll just call this entire turn a misplay. I should have sent, so we had 9 here. And I sent 12, which ends up getting my Rek'Sai killed. I mean, I'm still going to call this whole turn a misplay. Here I should play Flash. Why didn't I play Flash? Am I playing into Rengar? Oh yeah, I defensively Rengar and then I Flash when he pumps. Okay, no, this is fine. But this is where having Rek'Sai would have been valuable, because then I'd be able to accelerate the Pharros tokens. Okay, this is a good play because it forces his punch first. And I think this is a misplay from him because he could have sent more with the tank. So this Rengar got him. Like, if he sent Fiora with the tank, she would have been completely safe anyway. And then I wouldn't have been able to make this play. Best deck in format? I don't know. Could be Aurora, could be Aurelia, could be Annie, could be Diana. And then he showstoppers this forward. And then I top deck out here. Yeah, this game could have been way cleaner from me. It's possible, like, if I did the merchant play differently, it would still have been incorrect for me to try to hold. But the Sunken Temple was definitely a misplay. I should have gone to Arena's Greatest. That was a misplay. The Tide Turner thing was also a misplay, but it's unclear how things would have played out from there. And then I think I should have also committed the Rebuke earlier, because that would have denied him another turn of set value. And the board state just looked really good if I Rebuke that set right then. But yeah, I had to top deck a Kai'Sa there to win. Blood Rush versus Cleave. Cleave is just better. Though, to be fair, I have not thought about it too much. I've never stopped and gone, what if this Cleave in my hand was a Blood Rush? Would this make a difference? Probably it's so rare that it would make a difference that I don't even notice it. Yeah, this is Atlanta. I'm surprised I won that one too, though. I mean, the biggest misplay was the Sunken Temple one. But I don't think I like the other plays that I made either. And this game, I just get him. I get him really good. So we're on Grove. I'm really happy with my mulligan decision as well. where I keep this hard bargain. And I mulligan the Forerunner because it's too slow on Grove. And he's on his best possible draw too. Where he has Cythria plus a Hidden Blade. Hey, Fujitora. I'm here flaming myself for all my plays and making myself feel like I didn't deserve to win. It's good. I need this. Check that ego. Yeah, so I think about keeping the Forerunner, but it's way too greedy. Way too greedy and slow. Due to time pressure. Damn, imagine if we just had infinite time. Then every match might look like top 8. But yeah, this kind of draw that he has is a draw that would have just... that probably won him every single game he played on Grove if he had this kind of draw. Lost G1, opponents played really slowly. Yeah, I can imagine that. That was my first time getting slow played in round 10, but that was really fucking obnoxious. I mean, the worst part, it wasn't the slow play. I mean, the slow play was not good, was not enjoyable, but the fact that there was a judge sitting right there and doing literally nothing about it, that was the worst part. Like, whatever floor judges, sure, I will say it is a huge problem, the fact that you cannot call a floor judge and get them to give a slow play warning to a player. That is a huge problem that they need to solve. But a fucking stream match table judge sitting there and basically being AFK. Which we'll get to it when we get to it. I'm not entirely flaming the judge because there were some other issues that were involved. But they do need to do a better job. Across the board with slow play. Because yeah, I can imagine like if I tried to play Pike Control and I lose game 1, and then my opponent starts slow playing, because that is like, I've heard that from Aurora players, I've heard that from, like I'm hearing that from you now, that if you're playing some kind of slower control deck, people will just play for the clock as a win condition, which is ridiculous. It was intentional. I believe it was intentional by my opponent. Because it was to the degree that it was absurd. It is definitely a hit against playing slower decks. The fact that people can play for that as a win game, as a win condition. And now I've got the hard bargain Rengar, 9 to 8. Chess play clocks, impossible in a card game.
Complete blowout on this battlefield. It is 4 for the Rek'Sai, 5 for the Rengar, 9 might total. Crash.
Yeah, there's too many priority passes. It doesn't work. Especially when passing priority. Like, if it was online, and you could pass priority with your spacebar, and that was clear to both players that priority had been passed, then maybe you could do it online. But you try to do that in person, someone says pass, the other person doesn't hear it. I mean, I guess hitting the chess clock becomes the hitting the spacebar. But then there's a ton of nuance about whose priority it is. Like, obviously, so it's my turn, I go through my start of turn steps, hold trigger happens, pass priority. Opponent has to pass priority back on the hold trigger. Channel draw, start my turn, do anything, pass priority. Hair thing when game is difficult, real thing. I just do the hair thing the entire time. Yeah, and then there's obviously, like, if time pressure happens and both players are slamming the chess clock. I mean, judges should just be better about dealing with slow play. I think at every event I've gone to, I've heard someone venting about their opponent slow playing them. It has never not been a thing at an event. And the judges are just not doing anything about it. Judges are doing random deck checks. They have started doing those. I think at Lille, it might have been at Lille that they started doing those. They weren't before. Don't remember. They definitely weren't at Houston, not that I saw, and I don't remember for Bologna Vegas. But I do remember them doing them at Lille. They were in Bologna? Okay. But now I got the Grove from him, and he's also down infinite runes, so now game is very difficult. Because all I have to do is sit here and hold it, and I have infinite resources over him. And I have the runes to develop them. Approach to beating Ezreal combo. Don't overextend your board. Hold up counterplay to it. Spread your units out across battlefields and base. Yeah, I don't know why an Aurelia has Angular Beast in the sideboard. That's very strange. Really weird. Tips to improve as a newer player. Plan out your turns before doing anything. Good for Armory. Top meta threats, Azir and Vanguard Armory. Fish was good against LeBlanc. What, where you go second and you play it turn 2? That's not terrible. That's really not terrible. Yeah, Azir, the issue right now is everyone has a ton of gear hate for him. Yeah, this game kind of ended on turn 2. Unfortunately, can't make that play against Vex, because Vex stuns my Rengar when it comes in, and then the entire thing fails. What is my playstyle? Depends on the matchup. I think this is a mid-range deck, it's not an aggro deck. At this point, I just need to find Rebuke, and then I should be safe against everything. Ah, and there it is, yeah. It's probably exactly what I was thinking at this point, is let's just find a Rebuke and maybe a Ferris Forerunner. And I'm chilling. If I have that third stack deck in my hand, I'm surprised I don't play it on my own turn. Yeah, I'm surprised I'm not playing that before the fan and just finding a Forerunner to play. I think I'm worried about his push that's going to come in. Oh yeah, no, I fixed this, okay. Yeah, because no, that's just stupid. I'm gonna give myself a misplay for that anyway. You are allowed to rewind, I didn't gain any information playing a unit. You are allowed to rewind unit plays, but that's still silly. Yeah,
Ah.
completely replaced it. The one question is if I should hold the Grove with both Forerunners and still leave the Rek'Sai out to die. Surprising thing about Australia. I mean, people were really friendly. I don't know if that's surprising. Probably not. The people in Australia are probably the most chill. So I drop the longsword now. It does tap me out, but it also gets the Fade Dragon exhausted, which is really big. Ganked by animals? No. There were some Ibis that were hanging around in various places, but that's it. Should've yoinked some more mech tokens. So he does get an absolutely insane turn here. With this double challenge, and then first mate. Full clears me except for the mechs. But then I have the Rebuke for the Fairy Dragon, and I go to 7. And then just need to calculate the hold. Which I have Rebuke against the odds. Which he was not expecting. How's my game with LS? was not bad. I think it was not a particularly close 2-0, where he was kind of competitive in the early game. He set up a hold on both battlefields, and then I just broke it, and the game was over afterwards. Star-crossed, awkward, bouncing one of my own units. Sometimes, but not often. Yeah, this game would have been losable if I had played that fan and then passed. Bring Falling Star in a lot in Australia? No, I didn't go against any of the matchups that Falling Star was for. Alright, and then they decided to show Draven Aurelia instead of me against Alan. Tragically. Still do misplay counter for that. When it loads. This is 5-2 drop, double rebuke main deck. No Draven, but one Mind Splitter. No Audacious. No better gear hate than Factory Recall. You can't play acceptable losses because Sivir makes gold. So it's either Factory Recall or Fading Memories or Thermo Beam. What do they put on which side? Coco's on the right, alright. What's it best against? It's for LeBlanc, that's playing Karthus. Diana. Let me see. Where are my sideboard notes? Ezreal. Let me see where my real sideboard notes are, because these aren't even right. So, Ezreal... No, it should be against LeBlanc, I just didn't even write it down. Ezreal, LeBlanc, Ezreal, and Diana. And it could come in against Aurelia, but depends if I see not so fast from them. Are those the notes that you saw on stream one time? Yeah. The fake sideboard notes, those are real. Sideboard notes for can't win, get lunch. Anything weird going on? So there's no purple Draven, there's only 2 boots, 2 GA, 1 Zhonya's, main deck Vex. This guy was teched for the mirror. Same with the double rebuke. Only 2 Defies is insane. Oh wait, this is set 2. No, it's not. It's insane in set 3. Double hard bargain is kind of crazy though. And then Ravenbloom Conservatory. And then we got this switcheroo main deck, 1 Falling Star, 1 hard bargain, 1 Cleave Blood Rush split. 1 Beast below, 1 Brynn here. Only 2 Dariuses. 1 Flash. And doing the Aspirant's Climb go second. And Zonwarren's game 1 thing. Alright. Draven's higher seed. Looks like they cut after his mulligan. It's kind of crazy. I think they finished their 3-game series before we finished 2 games, me against Alan. Things already looking terrible for Aurelia. Going to be down 3 points to 0. And that means that you are just dead to Brynn here Rebuke at all times. And that looked like a Kai'Sa in hand as well. Discard Star makes sense when Zhonya shows up, so you don't even have the answer to Stellacorn Herder. Looked like he also had a Ferris Forerunner in hand, so it's looking like he's literally doing the same curve that I do as Annie. Irelia has to get played here. No, we go Stellacorn Herder, okay. Does that change what you do as Coco? Let's see. I don't know what's in his hand. If Irelia got played, it was going to be Kai'Sa here, Forerunner stacked. Since it's a Stellacorn Herder, it might still be Kai'Sa here, Forerunner stacked, because the Kai'Sa would just die to one pump spell, and that's not great. And then you say if the Stellacorn Herder goes here, you're going to gank across and take cards off of it. With one of these several ganking cards that he has. 3 Gem Jammer, 3 Tide Turner, 1 Flash. I think he's also 0 Ride the Wind. That was something that I remember about his deck. Yeah, he's 0 Ride the Wind. This shouldn't have moved. Well, if his opponent has Gust... There was no reason for this to move back. Oh, did he forget? Hey, it wasn't only against me that he forgot Zonwarn's trigger. Maybe he didn't forget. Maybe. I don't know. Alright, what do? We do have a Rebuke. Do we have a Rebuke and a Discipline or something easy to push over the Kai'Sa that isn't just Defiant Dance? Because I think I see a Defiant Dance in there. I think he also has a Ride the Wind, but he doesn't have enough purple for it, so this is going to have to be an Irelia pass. Stellacorn Herder's going to get ganked on, probably by a Ferris Forerunner that probably has a Spinning Axe in backup. So when you see this Hopeful get discarded, there's no 2-drops left in his hand. That would always be the first discard. The Falling Star discard makes sense, that's low quality when the Zhonya's comes out. Eighth point with 0 in hand? Why would that matter? Or you mean 0 cards in deck? Wouldn't you still win? Isn't that a cleanup? Cleanup checks if you have enough points to win, and then says you win before Zonwarn's trigger can resolve. Oh, if you can... Oh, that. Where you conquered to draw. No, you have to take the draw. That's like a rulebook effect that doesn't use the chain. Alright, Tide Turner or Gem Jammer. Actually, I guess he doesn't have those. Or no, he would have kept it. He would have discarded Hopeful over one of those to set up for this situation. But he could also just not have it. He could have Flash. He could have an Accelerate unit, but that's a lot more expensive. Really don't want to commit to that. Looks like a Gem Jammer. Number 2. Yep. Gem Jammer, are you greedy now? Irelia has multiple flashes. Also has Rebuke. If you have Hard Bargain in hand, you're completely safe to be greedy. If you don't, you're still at risk. If you get Defiant Danced, you can't Axe with your Kai'Sa to go over top. And you're going to draw so many cards this game off of this combat win, plus all those Onwarns triggers, that you probably don't need to be greedy for this Kaisa Conquer, so I think it's better to be safe with this Forerunner. And now, it would be really risky to go for a Rebuke on this Forerunner. There's one hard bargain. I believe it's one hard bargain and one flash. It would also be pretty game-winning if it sticks. But you could also be more patient and then try to play for... Yeah, one flash, one hard bargain. You could be patient and play for the Rebuke on your own turn when you have Defy backup. Or when your opponent can't afford to hard bargain it. And now this is interesting where he stops and thinks. Because he can respond to this Gem Jammer by playing Flash. And that's probably a misplay to not do that. Because unless he doesn't Flash, if his plan was to do something else. But if he's going to play Flash anyway, okay, so he is sending the Rebuke. Why do they like Discard Battlefield? Irelia really likes the card selection. I wonder if you could read that there's a Rebuke, but I think you have to force it out anyway. As the Draven. I guess you could have given a Spinning Axe to the Gem Jammer and sent it instead. And then... they'd have to do something else. The problem is, the play that gave you the information that they have Rebuke is when the Gem Jammer targeted the Forerunner, and they allowed it, and they didn't Flash. So let's say he axed and sent in first. I mean, you could still just get rebuked anyway. That's really weird. Yeah. There's no way you know they have Rebuke in hand until after they allow this Gem Jammer to go through. And even then, you don't know they have Rebuke in hand. The only thing you know is they don't have Flash in their hand and not Rebuke. Okay, we got a Darius that goes over top. Triggers the Zhonya's, draw for combat. Conquer to infinity points. And then we just discard the Forerunner. And now we're thinking about hidden cards. Because otherwise this Darius is getting cooked. Gem Jammer by itself. Interesting. Or Darius by himself, Gem Jammer doesn't move up. If the Gem Jammer moved up, that would telegraph Switcheroo. And this is the one of Switcheroo. What other hiddens does he have, though? See, this is interesting because the only hidden cards in his deck are Tide Turner and Switcheroo. And this looks really weird to be a Tide Turner. This just looks very strange. The problem is, even if it was a Tide Turner, like there is another option where the Gem Jammer goes on this battlefield and gets a Tide Turner hidden with it. But if you do that, the opponent can just check it with their Stellacorn Herder, force the Tide Turner to flip, and then, I mean, potentially just buff the Stellacorn Herder over top, but even if they don't, just kill off one. I guess, no, that is pretty good. So if this was a Tide Turner, that would probably be the board that Draven would set up, which does make you think this is probably not a Tide Turner. It's still a bit awkward, because you're going to have to swing in and either offer a trade to make Switcheroo do nothing or go over top. But if you go over top by a little bit, then you're fine. Like if you have, let's say, Guardian Angel equipped to Irelia go in for 7, they Switcheroo, and then you play a Discipline or an On Guard, that's completely fine, and you get a ton of Stellacorn Herder draw before you even have to go for that. That's the best way to handle it. No, combat's before. Oh, hey. GA swing in. And that's why the Switcheroo hide is weird as well. Why does Assault persist? Because the combat... the combat result gets decided but the combat itself doesn't end, I think. But that is a good question. But yeah, that makes the switcheroo hide weird because it's so expensive, and it's also pretty telegraphed. And it's also like, even if this was a tide turner, it's still beatable in the same way. Where you just send in this attack, and if it's a tide turner, then okay, I'll still beat it anyway. So yeah, this is really expensive because he has a lot of cards in hand. He got a Kaisa Conquer, he got a combat win, his Forerunner got rebuked. He has like 6 or 7 cards in his hand. So burning a rune this early is pretty crazy. And then burning a second rune, which gets hard bargained, which is fine. He might have the second one in hand, but there wasn't really a great target for it. And now he should just pass with a ton of runes up. He's got Flash available. Coco's got 6 runes. This looks like a decent spot. So, what is your goal here? So as Coco, your goal is to get to 6 points and then try to win on the follow-up. Probably develop Draven this turn if you can get to 6 cheaply. As Aurelia, you definitely want to stop this guy from getting developed too easily. But in order to stop this, I mean, you can commit a Defiant Dance. 1 Defiant Dance. If opponent has Cleave or Blood Rush, then you're going to have to commit more. Do you need the Stellacorn Herder alive, though? You do have Ride the Wind available. Not sure what else is in hand. I see an On Guard. I see a Discipline, I think. I don't see a Defiant Dance. Because the problem is, Bryn here is just going to destroy you if you don't make this turn difficult for Draven and let him put this out. Because this with a Bryn here, you're never going to win against. Well, actually, you could. That's only 7 runes. You have a little bit of time. So maybe you shouldn't be too aggressive with the Aurelia. Your opponent burned a ton of runes. If you flash out here, allow this to happen, and then as long as you can answer whatever their follow-up is, which might be a second Forerunner, which is another problem. Because Draven, because Aurelia is so far behind on points, Draven doesn't even need to get to 6 this turn. He can get to 6 next turn, and then win the turn after that, and it's still completely fine. And that's a ton of time for development. Like, that could be a Forerunner getting dropped here, and then a Draven getting dropped in base the next turn, and then a Bryn here push the turn after that. And that would be with 10 runes. But I'm not sure how you stop that. Ride the Wind definitely doesn't stop that. Especially not... What? What? He has Flash. Alright, that's a misplay. And I think I'm going to call that switcheroo play also a misplay. I don't think I liked that play at all from Coco. Discard Forerunner. I mean, you better have the third one in hand then. Fan, Flash... 4 double power cost? Wait, what is that? Or is that a Rebuke? Oh, that's Beast from Below? Third Forerunner. I can't fucking tell. Why am I reviewing old VODs? Because I haven't done it yet. A majority. So this is a Flash setup. The problem with this, you can't rely on Flash too much against green, because it can get defied. I think it would be better for this fan to be forward, and you plan to pay deflect and kick the Aurelia out once. Oh, we're not even playing for flash. I still would like this Fan to be forward. I think this taxes the Aurelia. So how much might did he set up? He saved Kai'Sa, he dropped Hopeful, so we put down 10 might compared to the 9 that Draven would have been. I don't know. Is he worried about second Rebuke? He might be worried about second Rebuke so he doesn't go for Forerunner, because that would be pretty game-losing. If that's what he's playing around, then that makes sense. And then he's going to hand dump here. He's going to let the Aurelia go to 5, and then he's going to hand dump again with Draven. And I believe, let me double check. Yeah, the Aurelia does not have Draven Audacious, so she can't win from 5 points. So he's completely safe to just take 2 development turns here. And once again, that Ride the Wind made no sense. I don't care that he has a second one. I'm surprised if he pushes this turn. He has no need to push at all this turn. This is top 8. This is round of 4. This is semifinals. Star-crossed on the Alpha Strike unit, then it doesn't do anything. Lets the Stellacorn Herder die. Third Forerunner discarded. Now what? Oh, is this the game that Coco loses? This should have been unlosable. Or is he just going to Brynn here, Rebuke, win? Anyway. Oh, he's going to Rebuke Hard Bargain. Because he has infinite cards. He does have the second Rebuke in hand, huh? And this Flash never got used. If he had one more rune, what would happen? He still wouldn't have enough, would he? Or no, did he get Hard Bargain? No, he got one of Hard Bargained. Yeah, so Harikaze would have won this game. Literally, if he had played Flash instead of that Ride the Wind, he'd have one more rune here. And that one more rune would mean he can't get Hard Bargained. Oh no, he gets Hard Bargain repeated. No, he still has nothing. Would that one more rune have done anything earlier on? It might have. Flash should put her on +2. She was already ready. Stellacorn Herder looks like a Rebuke and maybe a Tide Turner. Wait, did Coco... He either full capped or he mulliganed first. Okay, looks like he full capped. Okay, yeah. Tide Turner. We have a Rek'Sai. Stack deck Hopeful, even better. Take the Brynn here. Unless there's also a Rebuke in there. Am I a professional player? Yep. It is my profession. Oh, no Hopeful. Alright, now we walk on the Conservatory and drop Stella in base, or is that too risky? Did I reply to you? I thought I did, unless you're a different Vin on Discord. If you're going to tap out for the Stellacorn Herder, you might as well walk forward and get the Conservatory trigger. Either your opponent's Falling Starring you, or you don't really care. And this taxes them on the fan, so they can't go to Conservatory. Yeah. And I mean, this is probably the only play you can make. And actually, no matter what play you make, if you're going to play Boots of Swiftness or do something else, you're still going to go to the Conservatory. Really doesn't matter. Four and a red. We're accelerating our Rek'Sai out. Trigger. Draw a Defiant Dance. Draw anything. Alright, that's expensive. Is the fan going to back up Rek'Sai? Is a card going to get hidden? Don't think there's a single 1-mana card in Coco's deck that does anything. There's no gusts. Okay, we're gonna use this. Are we gonna... Do we bounce the Stellacorn Herder to deny a point and give a card? Interesting. What does Aurelia want to do here? Aurelia wants to not care about points because of Aspirin's Climb. Aurelia wants to draw cards from Stellacorn Herder and keep it alive. And potentially set up to deal with a Ferris Forerunner next turn. Is there an easy way to do that? Not really. Like, there could be Pump Spell plus Ride the Wind. But that takes the entire turn, but also draws infinite cards, so it's not bad. And then you end up with 7 runes next turn. That's not awful. Allows him to conquer. Ah, we're gonna do Boots Equip and Ready. That's really fucking expensive. We're gonna do Boots Equip and Ready. Okay. That's not bad. Having the boots, especially, is really strong. Now we're safe against any kind of Kaisa Accelerate or any kind of Darius play. Probably. Okay, this is not safe against Darius Cleave. It's now safe against Darius Cleave. And yeah, now we're set up to do a pullback plus Aurelia play. Be massively ahead. This game's kind of over. I don't like... I mean, what are you supposed to do as Coco on turn 2? That's a good question. Because there's no way you can set up to hold one battlefield while also threatening the Stellacorn on the other. And at that point, you'd have to just play in base, and he has nothing to play for in base. His hand looks like garbage. He could choose not to walk in? Yes. But then his opponent is up 2 points to 0 and could just Aurelia base. And his only development play that he had... I guess he could have maybe... If that Darius was in his hand, he could have played Darius. How long until it's not detrimental to go second? They have to make mechanical changes to the game for that to happen. The first player has card advantage and rune advantage and tempo advantage. At least one of those things has to change. And until then, going first is always better. And yeah, this is just a pullback. Oh, he's going to go across. That's aggressive. Alright, we didn't develop Aurelia, which is concerning. I would have much... I mean, getting to 5 points is worth something. Yeah, not drawing if you're first player would help a lot. Maybe give them one extra mulligan. Yeah, what Frosty said. Getting to 5 points is worth something, but I don't think it's necessary. I think you could have just pulled back, been on 4, and gotten Aurelia down, because the issue now is this Forerunner is going to walk on Conservatory, and a hold is going to get set up. Okay, except Coco's hand is absolute trash, so he can't even set up a hold. Okay, yeah, we'll just go game 3. I see why this series was so fast then. Fair enough. Because they effectively played a best of 2. Alright, what do we got in hand? I can't see, it's too dark. Like, somehow it's really bright on the stage, but there's no lighting from above to illuminate the cards. Looks like there's a stack deck and an Overzealous fan, and maybe a Rek'Sai. Oh, that's a Gem Jammer. Is there a Ferris Forerunner? Go second Kai'Sa early? Why? And with what? Go second Kai'Sa is just go first Kai'Sa with a Hextech Ray. Hextech Ray requirement. Hiding cards in my hair. No 2-drops in the deck. It's still better to... You could have no 2-drops in your deck, it's still better to go first. That's literally what some Lucian decks did. Second Forerunner. That is a pretty sweet card. If he has development, which I think he had a Rek'Sai in hand. No, he's got a second stack deck. Oh, there's a Noxus Hopeful. That's pretty good development. And then he could also walk on Targons, because he has a Spinning Axe for backup. He could walk on Targons, play Hopeful in base. That'd be very powerful. That's very powerful. And now he has a walk on Sunken Temple, stack a Forerunner. Or just a walk back to base, play a Forerunner to base. That's a lot safer when your opponent has all these. Alright, and this you just allow. It's fine. Like, you could... Like, this is a first player advantage example. As first player, you can just let this die. You can walk on Sunken Temple, drop Forerunner, and you're in an insane spot. You're in a wonderful position. Hey, EJP, thanks for the Prime sub. No, Forerunner's still one of the best cards in the game. Starcrossed is not a counter. Unless your opponent has 0 mana units for some reason. It still costs them 5 mana to bounce your Forerunner. Stellacorn Herder. Okay. Definitely have to pull back. And now Coco holds to 3. I mean, this is like a slightly better position for Aurelia compared to how things could play out. Because she is threatening to go to 4 next turn. The problem is the Stellacorn Herder does not help with that plan. So these units are going to stay here. And that's a problem. Or they're not going to stay there, and a Gem Jammer is going to push the Forerunner across, and then it's going to stay on Targon's Peak. One of those two things is going to happen, and this Aurelia is going to have been needed to be in play to have a chance to clear. I don't think the Stellacorn Herder could be played. Azir in the meta. There's a lot of gear hate for him as a side effect of Aurora, but he is a lot better with Soul Sword now. And if Aurelia can't push to 4 this turn, this game's over. We go 6 to 4. Draven says this Targon's Peak is actually cosmetic. I'm never going to use it. And now the Aurelia comes out, which is not particularly good timing because opponent gets to 6 for free. To be fair, if Aurelia came out instead of the Stellacorn Herder, still would have needed a pump spell to push over this Forerunner, but it wouldn't have needed to be a Defiant Dance. So it would have been Aurelia pushing over this, Tide Turner going here, lose out on a draw, but then have way more runes up, and Aurelia already active. And then you have a chance to hold. I mean, now the entire game has to get decided on these combats. And we had this many pumps in hand and we dropped the Stella. Which actually holds. So we know opponent is not on tricks. Get hard bargains. Okay, yeah, game's just over. No, the Aurelia came out too late. And that's that. Alright, we got time to watch. Surely they show at least part of match versus Allen. Okay, they showed game 3. I've got 10 minutes. Also think they're showing wrong battlefields, because this is a game I go first. Or did I do something weird with Seat of Power? Oh yeah, I did something weird with Seat of Power. Right. Because he got me... So there's matchups with the battlefields. Let me go back. Where Aspirin's Climb negates Arena's Greatest, and Sigil of the Storm matches up well against Seat of Power. So there was first the 50-50 game 1, which he beat me on. He got the Aspirin's Climb Arena's Greatest. But then I got him by bringing Seat of Power when I went second. Which I still lost that game, but... That got the Seat of Power away from the Sigil of the Storm. Just walk in and let him play the wages. No. Annie against Yi. Hold against them. Don't let them into battlefields. I remember at least one misplay that I made this game. See if we can find any more.
Of the card, so do bear with me, but we're going in with the overzealous fan.
You got it.
No, we did not play out round 13. Yeah, it was really cool that they let us get our best ofs early. Why, he bargained the flash? What was he supposed to do with it? If he lets... Don't I end up with a huge board?
Make some moves here.
How did we choose? I already had best of locked for Annie, and he did not have best of locked for Diana. I end up with a really weird hand this game, where I get a lot of board development down early, and then just end up with a handful of spells that I can't do much with. Wonder if I was supposed to play Flash on that Wages to get the Kaisa draw. And then I'd be able to get on both battlefields. So we had 4 runes left after. Would allow me to filter, but I didn't need to filter my hand. The cards in my hand were good, it's just... there wasn't any value. Did I flux them all tournament? No. Only in top 8. I actually showed the judge. God damn, I didn't remember doing that. Showing the judge what I was looking at. Oh, it was 3 2-drops. That's what it was. I'm figuring out which 2-drop is the best. Which I did misplay. I should have that's a misplay. I should have played the stack deck first every time. Because if I take a Tide Turner, I could Tide Turner Kaisa across. I might still not take the Tide Turner, to be fair, because then I'm throwing the Tide Turner away. And then Kaisa can still walk back to base anyway. She doesn't need to be forward and get, so I only draw half a card off of it effectively. But yeah, this hand just ends up being very weird. Oh yeah, I remember, because I'm playing the Merchant this turn. But the question is, what other 2-drop do I want? Because that's going to be most likely what's going to happen. I'm going to conquer Zonwarrens, and I'm going to discard whatever 2-drop I pick. But the question is, either if I draw something else I want to discard, or if a situation comes up where I want that 2-drop in my hand, which one is most useful? And that was a weird thing to think about. Because it was literally second Merchant, Tide Turner, Overzealous Fan in the stack deck. Oh yeah, I think I remember I showed the judge, and I was laughing, and then he laughed. And then I said, like, yeah, you have to laugh no matter what when I show you my stack deck, or else you're giving away info. Alright. Unfortunately, I need to take a break for a couple hours now. But I will be back after that, and we will finish the rest of this. So, cliffhanger. What will happen in this last game of the semifinals? Alright. Thanks, Luch. I mean, I'll be back. I'll be back in a couple hours, but gotta do something else. See you guys later tonight. Ta-ta.